Now, I don't know what I'm supposed to say, but I can just mention a brief history of this company. We are 14 of us, but good history tell me that we started when we were 24. Is it, Mr. Kangi? Were we 24? Yeah, that time, if there are people who have rioted in Nairobi, they are the 14 guys who are here. Where are they? Can you please stand? Just stand up. That time you're young boys. Yes. These guys standing there, we are 14 of us. Sit down. Thank you very much. We started 24 of us. We seriously and vigorously rioted, but in a disciplined way. Disciplined in the fact that we used to riot as grown-up people, drinking and eating meat in a behaved manner. As I've mentioned, we started when we were 24, but as we went socializing, we found that some of us could not fit there. They naturally fell off. I was talking the other day in Thika, and I said something there, that what we did to Arugagawana, you can niki. And that is why the group started by name Unyamarania. Unyamarania means that you can almost die when helping your friend. That is what kept us alive and moving. We were not very young, but we had families. We socialized together with our families, and of course, with us during the late hours as men do. But one thing we never forgot is that we had families. That is the beauty of it, and that is what has kept us where we are. After rioting for about 4 years or so, it was not easy. Then we decided that one of our members, as we were socializing, mentioned that, guys, I think we've had enough of this. And now, since we have about 3 or 4 million in the account, because we used to have fines, if you are late, you could be fined. We decided that we might start lending within ourselves. And we started. So if you had a problem of 200,000, 300,000, you could borrow. And the Nyamaranya was there to take up the bite for you. At a minimum interest, I don't remember how much. Mr. Nganga, do you remember? You're actually the one who came up with the idea of lending. Do you remember what interest? 10%. Yeah, 10%, which was very friendly by then. Because by then, banks were charging 32% during Moi's time. So we went, then after moving for about, I remember it was about close to 18 months. We made good money because we saw our portfolio had grown to about 4.5. We now said, why don't we try and bite out? So we decided that to bring in our close friends for lending also. After about, again, 18 months, our portfolio grew to 6 million. Is it, Mr. Kago? Was it 6 million when we started? Yeah, I mean, when we transferred to Springboard Capital, I think it was about 6 million. So from there, now somebody said, now this is a potential area, and there's a lot of money. Why don't we register a company, a lending company, out from the social group Onyamarania to a lending company? We registered a business name, Springboard Capital, and there we are. The friends of Springboard Capital and the owners of Springboard Capital are the ones who now started inviting people. This is how we started. You invite the friend of your friend. That's how now, again, when we opened out. Initially, we were operating from Mr. Ndagu's office, our chairman in town. Later on, we were given an office at Upper Hill Springs by our friends who are also shareholders of our Springboard Capital, and we employed one gentleman. So after some time, I'm not very good in history, we found that we could not operate from that office. And of course, these guys had given us enough of accommodation. So why don't we look for an office? We got an office along Moranga Road, Kensia House, a 10 by 10 and one desk. That was Mr. Karanja, who is our former MD or CEO. That was me, Mr. Karanja, and Mr. Kago. Four of us would sit there on that desk. I don't know at what point Mr. Mboro came on board, but I think he's within that season. Because you only needed one bookkeeper. So we sit there, four of us. A customer is brought by these 14 members, and of course our friends. We had no knowledge of accounting, but at least we had done banking. Mr. Kariuki is a salesperson. Mr. Karaja is an IT person. And Mr. Kago is a marketer. So we found the combination was good. Out of God's knowledge, we could analyze a loan, dispense a loan, and have the best rate of returns. I think we started with we were charging 2.5. But after looking at the market, we realized we are still too low. So we went to 3.5, and after that, we went to 4%. So, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you from there, we found ourselves hiring 2 rooms. Next time, we found ourselves hiring another room. When we thought of hiring Paris, I think now that time you came on board. That time we had Paris and Boro, who are here. We had 4 rooms. We found it was very difficult to deal with salespeople. So we had to hire a HR. Mr. Karanja was the one who was in charge of hiring. I was in charge of credits with Mr. Kago and Mr. Kariuki. So it is such a difficult thing to hire people, dealing with human labor, and needs the most important input in any business. We could hire, I remember once we hired a lady on Thursday. She came and told us she had a problem of clothing. Mr. Kago, I don't know, you remember we gave 5,000. And Monday the lady does not come. Mr. Kago told us, no, hiyo ni mambo ya biashara, wacha tuendelee. I remember on a Thursday we hired 2. This time we didn't take a risk. They came with the same story. Thursday, Friday, Saturday they work. Monday, one does not come. Tuesday, the other one does not come. So we are back to square A. So it was such an expensive venture. In fact, I used to sympathize with Mr. Karanja, because at one time he said, guys, I think at times I feel like giving up, because if this is the way, and I have my own private business I'm running, I think I'm not doing myself justice. But we kept on motivating each other, of course, with the support of our directors. And we prayed, and at one time I remember said, am I doing myself justice in this job as I leave my own business suffering? Of course, we were being paid. Lakini comparatively what we were getting, Mr. Kago, your witness, is an allowance. But we had to give it all. Me, I am an ex-banker, and I know what banking means. And if it's a career that is difficult, it is banking, because it is so monotonous. You don't grow, you remain stagnant. But the setup of Springboard now gives the opposite of that, because there is growth in it. Because Springboard deals with sales, not banking. So with us, we are all salespeople operating in the concept of banking. But in Springboard, we do not count money. Because if you were counting money, then we wouldn't have had growth. Anyway, that is by the side. So after that, we sat 4 of us. We found we were growing. We had a staff of about 8. When Mr. Karanja, I remember, called for a board meeting, not a board meeting, by the way, we could call for 14 members. We called the first meeting. Nobody bought the idea of shifting, I can tell you. That idea was only with only 4 of us. The rest of the 10 could not see the sense of us going into paying a rent of 400,000, is it Mr. Kago, a month? From the 35,000 you are paying in Kenya. But when we went back there, we said we are going to give it another chance. Wakubali ama wasikubali tunahama. We met again. When we met, I remember 3 people, I'm not going to mention their names, bought the idea. When we went back there, we said we are 4, now we are 7, we can take off. We went, looked for premises, did everything, informed our members we found a house, an office, and we are shifting. We renovated, we furnished the office, and as usual, we shifted with, of course, some people not agreeing with us, which is okay. Ladies and gentlemen, when we got there, that's when we realized growth. If I remember well, good memory tells me that within the first 1 year after we shifted, our loan book grew to 150. That time, we had a staff of about 11, 12 members in the sales. No, front team we had 7, sorry. And 9, no, sorry, 9. But unfortunately, we could be 11 at one time. The next time, you find we are 7, we are 6. Why? Because you've hired 2 today, 3 do not come tomorrow. You hire 4, 3 do not come on Monday. But with God's grace, we were able to maneuver until we find ourselves opening a branch at where? At Kariobangi. And one Paris was given that branch to run. Where are you, Paris? Where is Mr. Mburu? Can you stand up, please? Yeah, these are the 2 old, one lady and a gentleman who have actually been with us for a very long time. Please give them a clap. Just have a seat. Paris took over that branch. Most of our customers from Kariobangi were being brought by Mr. Kago. So that branch was entirely being run by Mr. Kago and Paris. And it did very well until we closed it after we found the proximity between town and where the branch was too near. And again, we were actually known in Kariobangi in that area, so there was no need of meeting that branch. So with God's guidance and help and goodness and kindness, we moved. That time now in Kenya, we did serious business. And if I look around here, I can see a number of our supporters. I don't want to mention them by name, but at least I have handshaked each of them, because I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, you've really, really, really supported us. Starting a company and it taking off takes 1 man's courageous decision to make a very unpopular decision. The decision of taking a risk, mind you, it is our own money. It is our own contribution. We never borrowed. It is what we call organic growth. Money is multiplying, because after that, what we used to do is buying shares. But a time came, then we stopped buying shares because we could go float shares when we needed some capital. Members would pull their resources and bring them on board. But it's interesting that for all God-fearing people, there is guidance, there is God guidance in it. I remember when we shifted to Kensia, we made one brander, and I still remember. A gentleman walked in, and of course we were very happy that we are going to dispense 1.5 million with a very good security of an FVZ lorry. Mr. Cargo is aware those vehicles you go for 5 million. That time I was also in the same industry of transport. We gave a loan of 1.5 million to a truck worth 4.5 million with very good statements. Why am I having that bad memory? It is the biggest figure loss that we ever made in that company. We made everything. We even checked in the bank, the statements were good, everything was good. But I can tell you, there are still smart crooks here. We lent that money. We took it to Mr. Koseo, our lawyer who is here with us. He confirmed everything. But I can tell you, that guy never paid a cent after that. We never saw him. What annoys me most is when we did our investigation, we went to 4 banks and we were told he had loans with them and he had absconded. Unfortunately, that time we had no access of CRB. That's when now we realized we had a gap that we were supposed to close. Why am I saying that? In any business that you establish, you take a risk. And in a risk that you take, you must expect losses. Nobody is perfect. And if you want to be perfect, don't try. Stay at home, eat, dine, and drink. But then, how long can you eat and dine and drink without earning and taking a risk? You can answer that one. Employees of Springboard. We have only one? Oh, 2. Are you not proud of yourselves, Carol and your team? You've made us proud. What you've done, Sarit Center is not an easy place to get in. And talking to your customers and making them get to this place, this unique place, shows the kind of confidence that your customers have on you. Kudos, God bless you, and keep up. For our customers, we would not be here celebrating, enjoying ourselves without your support. The fact that you've made it here to this place, and coming to Sarit Center is not easy to access, shows the kind of support and confidence you have in the team of management of Springboard Capital. So kudos, God bless you. Let's give them a clap. I can assure you one thing, that when you take a risk, there comes a stage where things are not working well. Na ikienda kombo hivi, mtakutana na mtu anaitwa John hapa. He's not in very good books with you, most of you here, because you call you because your loan is turning bad. Na mwishowe maneno ikiharibika, mtaona mnakosana, kagari imevurutwa, umekwa kwa gazeti. Hiyo ni kawaida. Somebody called me the other day, kaniambia, ati nimeona nyumba yako imewekwa kwa gazeti. hiyo mali ni kutafuta nilikuwa natafuta. So itaenda nitabaki. And that is what happens in business. If you are not ready to release, don't try. You are here, our customers, because you have decided to bite the risk. And in the process of biting the risk, you grow. And that is why you are here. So if we have wronged you in the wrong way, and you are here, or you are not here, we sincerely apologize. But you are here because hata kama ulichotwa, we are still friends. And that is the most important thing. As you do business, make sure you have made friends in what you are doing. Thank you very much. You highly appreciated. God bless you, and we believe and trust that we'll keep on moving together. Thank you.
Asante sana.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. No, you don't look like you're having a good evening. Are you having a good evening? If you're having a good evening, let me see your hands in the air. Oh, yeah. You look wonderful from here. Absolutely wonderful. As you can see, we are very excited. Today is a big day. It's a grand day. It's a great day. It's a marvelous day. And every other vocabulary that you want to throw in there, we are in real celebratory mode. And we want to thank the founding fathers, FF, founding fathers of Springboard Capital, upon whose backs this company has been built, upon whose story of resilience and audacity we stand here today. This company would not have been here if it was not for them pushing on and pushing on. If you see a company is 10 years, it has not come from nowhere. It has come from somewhere. And if you want to know wisdom, wisdom is when you hand over and allow for your baby, your 10-year-old baby, to be guided and led without having to have them under your arm all the time, every time. And the founding fathers have handed over their baby to us at 10 years old. You know what a 10-year-old is like? They're not a teen. They're not a child. It's a very delicate age. And if you don't handle a 10-year-old properly, they will not succeed for the rest of their lives. So for the shareholders to hand over their 10-year-old baby to the staff and management of Springboard Capital, to run with, to lead, to guide, to shepherd, to steward into greatness, isn't that a high level of trust? Isn't it? And that's the level of trust the shareholders have given us. We accept that trust and we are running with the company going forward. So what are we doing if you ask us? What is this trust that has been handed over to us? We are looking at what we are calling the 6 Ps. P number 1 is people. Mr. Juguna, that thing of people showing up and running away, it has died. We have people who are staying on in Springboard Capital because it is a great place to work. So we are focusing on people and understanding that people come to work as a vocation, to live their purpose, to be able to walk every day and know I have arrived in a place that I can be who I want to be. So our first pillar is on people. People retention is a big thing for us. Our second pillar is on processes. We are running a good company with standards. When you look at something, it's done in the right way by the right people at the right time for the right reason. Standards. So our processes are in place and we are running with standards and we're in a digitization process of getting a new system. And so we are running with processes. Our other P is on positioning. Where are we? Where are we? Can people find us? Can they reach us? At the moment, we have shifted our town branch from a place where our customers said, this is not convenient for us, and we're listening to the voice of the customers. And so next week, we are opening our branch at Kagen House in town. Please come. Bigger, better, more refurbished, more customer convenience in that space. So positioning is it. We are also positioning ourselves online because COVID has shown us that our customers are online. And at the touch of the button, they want to be able to apply for loans and get them. And so positioning is positioning physically and positioning digitally. Our other P is products. What about our products? What products do customers want? What are you looking for? And so when customers come to us and say, where's your product list? We say we don't have a product list. We are designing a product for you. What is your need? Who are you? What do you want? What's your business? How is it running? What do you need this money for? How do we ensure you are successful? So we don't come and chotter you. We don't want to chotter you. If you see someone chottering a client, you did not know that client properly. Know your customer. Understand your customer. And that's why we say that our other competitors out here who will give you a loan in 3 hours, they don't know you. How do you know someone in 3 hours? So they take your collateral and they sell it. That's the purpose. You cannot know your customer's business in 3 hours. You cannot. Even if you want to date someone and take them to the altar, it's not going to happen in 3 hours, is it? You need to know her, understand her, know where she comes from. Is she from a good family? Is she a prayerful woman? You've seen her when she's angry, when she's sad, when she has money, when she doesn't have money, and vice versa. So we really want to know and understand our customers and make products that work for our customers. So that's the P on products. The other P is on partnerships. You can see our suppliers are in the room. Partnerships. It is in great partnerships that we are able to succeed. There's a big brand in this country that says, when we come together, good things happen. Great things happen. We subscribe to that school of thought. We can't do it alone as Springboard Capital. No, we can't. And so partnerships is a great thing for us, and we're running with that. And our last P is on patronage. It is the customers. It is you sitting in this room. We want to listen to the voice of our customers. We want to know and understand you. We want to walk with you. We want to journey with you. We want to work with you. We want to empower this nation by capitalizing you. The biggest barrier to business success is capital. And we are here for our customers to bridge that gap. And so that's our last P, that's partnerships. And I want to borrow from Mr. Juguna. Maybe our final P should be prayer. Don't you think? Yeah, so I think we'll throw that in. So now we have 7 Ps. And our prayer is what covers. We will pray over this business. We will pray for our customers. We will pray for our suppliers. We will pray for our directors. We will pray for our shareholders. We will pray for ourselves. And so those are our Ps. And so as you can see, my dears, we are doing business legit. At Funny Business, Kemkal. This is business legit. Yes, I can see you smiling there. And so let me end with a story before I call a great gentleman, our board chair, to come and speak. I have a story. My children's great-grandmother, we call her Maito. Maito is 110. 110. And Maito was a freedom fighter. I think we don't document these stories enough. You should hear the stories she tells. So Maito was in the bush fighting. And when it came to December 12th, 1963, Maito walked all the way for 2 days from Nakuru to Nairobi because that was the only means she had. Because she had to be there when the flag was raised at Uhuru Gardens. Uhuru Gardens. And so Maito walked all the way to Uhuru Gardens. And she was there when the flag was raised. And you should hear her. She tells me and she tells my children, I was there. When the country was handed over, I was there. When this nation was given to us rightfully, I was there. And you should hear her with such passion. And I want to tell all of you sitting in this room that Springboard Capital is on the brink of history because it's 10 years and we are catapulting into the next 10 years. And you are here. Are you not? Are you not here? So I want you to practice as if you're 110 years old and you're talking to other people and you're telling them, I was there when Springboard Capital celebrated 10 years and shot off into the next 10 years. So turn to the person sitting next to you, pretend you're 110 years old, and say, I was there. I was there. I was there. I was there. Yes. And I will be here to bear you witness, because indeed you are here. So we are building a brand that we can hand over to the Brians of this world. Right, Brian? That we can hand over to the Nicks of this world. Right, Nick? Yes. This business will be a business that people talk about for centuries to come. Now, that all said, it is my absolute pleasure to invite our board chair. Let me tell you about our board chair. Our board chair is a man who just oozes wisdom. You know, wisdom is not very easy to come by. Some people think they're wise, but they're not. And so we run to him when we need guidance. We run to him when we need to understand where direction we are supposed to go. He shows us where to go. He's a great businessman, very seasoned, very streetwise, business savvy, and has great ideas. He also has a very, very high level of leadership skills and emotional intelligence. And so we are proud and privileged and honored to have Mr. Washington Dago as our board chair. Let me invite you over to come, say hi to people, and address us. A round of applause for our board chair, Mr. Dago. Here you go.
This is a beautiful day. This is a day I'm so happy about, such that to know all the owners of this company are here. Sometimes we think owners of the companies or all the companies are the shareholders, the investors. But as far as Springboard is concerned, the owners are 3 or maybe 4. The first owners ni wale walileta pesa, wakachaganya, wakasema wataanza. The second owners are the people who came to work for us. The third owners are our customers. This company is owned by those 3 people. So I'm so happy to see all the shareholders, all the owners of this company are here to celebrate our 10 years. We have heard about the history, where we came from, where we started, and where we are. Mine is just a few words to say where we are going, to mention where we are going. This company is going places. This company is going to be a world-class financial institution. That's what we are working on. And we are working on with all the shareholders. That is, the shareholders who invested their money, the shareholders who invest their time working for the company, and the shareholders who come and take our stock, because our stock is money. That's what we sell. That's what we trade with. If the customers don't come and borrow or buy our stock, we will not move. If they come to our offices and the employees don't handle them properly, our stock will not move. If the shareholders and the board doesn't treat the employees properly, will not grow. So, mine and my board is to make sure we all work in an atmosphere where we respect one another, where we appreciate one another, and where we all know that we make the company grow. And that's our way forward. That's where we are heading. We are working on infrastructure. We are working on our relationship, building on our customer relationship. We are training our people to be able to handle our people, to handle our customers. And another 2-3 years, going to 5 years, even the customers who buy our stock will want to be our shareholders within the company. Because as we grow, we'll get to a point where we invite other people to join us. We would want our customers to look forward to that day they also become shareholders. And that's what we are working on. Another 10 years, we will be another equity bank. That's what we are looking for. That is our target. And all of us working together, we are going to go there. And we are going to achieve it. So let's celebrate. Let's be happy. Let's make merry. And know tomorrow morning, we'll wake up and continue the journey we have started. And I would want everybody to feel appreciated, even the suppliers, because they also assist us to deliver. Thank you very much. My board asked me to welcome all of you and to wish you a good time. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. A big warm applause for Mr. Board Chair. Our customer representative, we have many customers here, and I wish we could call every customer, but to save time, we'll have Mr. John Gushu, an avid businessman from Thika. He's a member of Thika Business District Association, and he has worked with us as a customer. Mr. John Gushu, karibu. After this, you're going for lunch, for dinner. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Hello. Good evening. Well, I didn't expect to speak, but I've taken that much. My name's John Guchu, and I'm a businessman in Thika. I'm a CEO of a pharmaceutical company that has branches across the country. And I've been with Springboard for the last 10 years. I got my first loan when I really was hard out with Mr. Cargo there. In fact, Mr. Cargo gave me my first loan. That was way back 10 years. And that time they were working, as Mr. Njuguna said, in an office. Mr. Njuguna, I think, is just spoken. And those are just the first gentleman that I met when I came to Springboard. It's been a very long journey and a honest journey together. And as the chairman has said, I think it's good to hear that we are also stakeholders of this growing company, that we want to make equity in the next 10 years, as you have said. And I think the potential is there. It can happen. If we were in America today, maybe we could be saying this is an American story. But I would say this is a Kenyan story. Yeah? And we are so happy when we see our African colleagues venturing into this business of financing. Because a long time or way in the past, it's been handled by other group of people. And I think some of the people here, or even elsewhere, may have lost properties. What I like about Springboard is that every time, as a businessman, that I needed money, and you know sometimes we really get hard up, and you really need a friend to bail you out. You could be having money, you could be a millionaire, but maybe you just need $1 million shillings. And this is where the hands comes in. At a short notice, and probably bail yourself out from a problem that was bothering you, that you didn't know where you'd get your money. This is lovely. And I would even ask other members who are here, who are working at the customers, to each one of us make a point, or make it a project. But probably as we also grow, we want to make, as the way Equity started, as intend this 10 year and being here, maybe you can also as well make it a project. Go and bring a customer. so that we can make these people grow. There's nothing wrong with doing that. This is ours. The way people say nekamushi. Yeah, people say nekamushi. This is what we can say, nekamushi. So I would urge each one of us. These are good people. I know them. I can trust them. I trust them. They're good people, and they're not after selling your property when you're hand up, when you need help. They are genuine. I've never encountered any problem for the last 10 years. I think I'm going to almost my mark of 15 million that I've borrowed across the various months that I've been on. For the last number of years, not 10 years, I would say, but the last 5 years I've really borrowed. And we deal with stocks. So you find that sometimes people owe you money and you don't have money to replenish your stock. I've relied on Springboard to do that for me. And with across branches around the country, it's not been easy. And we're also growing the way Springboard is growing. So I would just want to say thank you to the management team of Springboard, to the board of directors who had this vision of denying themselves the nyamas and the pombas they used to take with Mr. Njuna, and they decided to set that money aside and bring up a company like this that now is helping people, business community, to grow. I appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone, and even maybe the other customers who are also here. Let's keep it going. Let's give them a push, and one day we'll be proud and say, oh yeah, we were part of this, and it has grown. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening.
Asante sana, Mr. John Gushu. Our keynote speaker tonight is the executive director of Fedora Consulting Group. He has extensive experience in leadership and board development, organizational ethics, and leadership communication. He has served in senior leadership positions with the World Bank, Coca-Cola, Ogilvy, among other organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the stage our keynote speaker, Mr. Cosma Gatere. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. I know that it's a challenge speaking at dinners because a dinner speaker has two challenges. If you speak before the dinner, you're talking to hungry people, and hungry people are often angry people. If you talk after the dinner, you're dealing with a different challenge because people may be nodding in agreement, and the challenge is you're dealing with people who are not only fed but maybe fed up. So we'll try and see how we can progress without those two obstacles coming in our way. I want to spend a few minutes talking to you this evening about an important topic. And this is a topic that I want to make relevant, not only for what we do in business, but also for what we do in our personal lives, what we do in the various institutions and organizations that we belong to, and what we plan to do when we retire. So it's going to be the full package, and we'll see how we deal with this issue. Here's the title of the topic: Relationships and not transactions are the currency of success in life and work. So that's what I hope to be proving to you this evening, that it is relationships, the quality of our relationships, not our monetary transactions, not the technical analysis, that hold the currency of success in work, in business, but also in our day-to-day lives. And I'll be giving examples from both work and day-to-day lives about how this principle applies. But I want you to help solve a problem for me to start. I want you to help solve a problem for Mama Mike. Let me tell you what is the challenge with Mama Mike. Mama Mike lives up country, and on a 4-acre, she's part of a larger 4-acre development. This 4-acre development, They're thinking of maybe doing a gated community. There are several friends who bought that land together, and they've all put up their homes and are living there. But they're not quite sure whether they develop this entirely as a gated community or people have their individual homes. Now, Mike travels from Nairobi to see his mom up country and is somehow not very comfortable with the arrangement, because what happens every time he gets into the house, he finds a lot of the children from the neighborhood in his mother's house, because his mother lives alone. She's a widow, and she is actually enjoying the company of these young kids who call her Shosh, and they enjoy her company. But Mike says, you know what? I'm concerned about security, and I don't want these children to disturb my mother, is the term he uses. So he decides he's going to build a perimeter wall around the half acre which his mother owns, so that his mother is not, as he said, sumbuliwad by all these children every time he comes. I want us to do an exercise, and I want to see how many of us agree with Mike. So I want us to practice voting, because voting is something we'll be doing soon, and I want everyone to vote. So let me see by a show of hands. How many of us think that Mama Mike should actually have a perimeter wall around her property, and when people want to come and visit her, they knock on the gate and come in when the soldier lets them in? Anybody who wants that perimeter wall? Let me see by a show of hands. Everyone has to vote. Now, how many of you think that Mama Mike should actually live with the rest of the community and there shouldn't be any perimeter wall? Let me see by a show of hands. Now, how many people have not voted because they don't have a registration card? Haven't registered? And how many people voted twice so that IEBC can cancel the election? Now, I want us to park that idea to the side. And by the end of what I say, I think we'll find the solution together. Let me just begin to explain how the principle of relationships and not transactions is the key differentiator, the thing that makes organizations grow and thrive. And that if you find a problem in your business, in your work, as long as it's something where human beings are involved, don't just look at the technical issues. Don't just look at financial issues. Look at the quality of relationships and what has gone wrong between people. Let me start by our personal lives before we even come to apply this in business. One of the things that we fail to realize is that, unfortunately, COVID has robbed us of a very important opportunity. And that is the opportunity for us to interact with people because of this very unfortunate term we've been taught, which is social distance. Because as human beings, we need relationships. We need to be close to other people. Relationships are very important in our healthcare and in our well-being. Here is a study that was done on women who are admitted in hospital because they are suffering from cancer. So you've got two women, same hospital, same doctor. They both have stage 4 breast cancer diagnosis. One woman receives regular visits from friends who come, interact with her, spend time with her, sing with her, pray for her. The other one receives no visits apart from the doctor and the nurse. Here is what the survey found. The woman who receives regular visits from friends and family has a 400% greater chance of beating cancer than the woman who doesn't receive visits. Same hospital, same treatment regimen. What is the difference? Relationships. One of the best things you can do if you've got anyone in hospital is visit them. Relationships can be the deciding factor between whether your sick one makes it out healthy or whether they do not. Relationships, they found, are critical to the quality of healthcare you get. What relationship is it? It's the relationship between the doctor and the patient. It's not even the quality of the hospital, but the relationship between the doctor and the patient determines several things. One, you have a more accurate diagnosis because the doctor understands much better what the patient's problem is. Second, you have much better treatment and much better chances of recovery because the patient has confidence in the doctor because of that bond. Thirdly, you have a much better outcome because of a quality of relationship between the nurses and the patient. So, relationships in hospitals improve outcomes. I don't know how many of us here are parents of teenagers. Any teenage dads or moms of teenagers here in the home? Let me see by a show of hands. Or soon to be. Good. Here's something that you might want to know. Relationships, when you have a child in the home who's a teenager, is what is going to be the deciding factor between that child's long-term success and that child's failure later on in life. Here is what a study in no less an institution than Harvard University found out. That the most important piece of technology in a home when you're raising children is in fact a very simple, analog technology that all of you have in your homes, but you're not using it. Do you know what it is? It's the family dinner table. Surprise. You thought it was something else. Here is what they found. That families that spend at least 2 or 3 times or more sessions as a family around a dinner table every week. So it's 2 or 3 times or more sessions around the dinner table. Parents interacting with the children interacting with the parents, and discussing freely about what is going on in school. Here were the outcomes they found. 1, it reduces number of childhood, teenage pregnancies. Second, it encourages the children to have a lot of self-confidence because the affirmation is coming from the parents. 3, it helps them with a big issue that teenagers have, which is a question of identity. They just don't know who they are, where they belong, or what life is about. It is the quality of that relationship, that affirmation between them and the parents that helps them. So their identity is well addressed. It showed that it helps them with their vocabulary because of getting better vocabulary from the parents. That is when the parents transmit values. Values are more caught than taught. If you're a parent and you want to teach your child a value, let's say on generosity, you don't assemble them and say, now, here are 3 points about generosity. Point number 1. No, it is through interaction and through them watching you that they learn the values. So they found that because of spending time around the dinner table, the relationship is built, but what happens? That child ends up being much more confident and much better chances of that child succeeding in life rather than failing as they go through what they're dealing with. So relationships improve that also in our homes. A question about our longevity. How long do we want to live? A study was done on what you call blue zones in the world. Blue zones in the world are places where people live to more than 100 years old. There's a very high proportion of people living to more than 100 years old. I think what Carol told us about her grandmom, she might actually be living in a blue zone there because 110 and still going, I mean, that's amazing. Whatever she's doing, let her do it, continue doing it because she's doing something right. But I suggest to you, and I don't know, we haven't talked about this, that there's something about the quality of her relationships that must be good. And she's got thriving, rich relationships around her. Why? This is what they discovered about blue zones. That in a blue zone, and here this was particularly done about one area in Italy, where they were looking at the study there. And they found that this particular town of Sardinia in Italy has a very high number of people, over 100 years. And they found out, what's the secret? So they asked, and they found out this. It's not really to do with the Italian pasta. It's not to do with the nice Mediterranean weather. It's not to do with what the Italians call la dolce vita, which is Italian for nice and good life. They found that the members of that city in Sardinia were spending a disproportionate amount of time interacting, talking, and spending time visiting, quote, doing nothing but eating and laughing and chatting with family and close friends. Here is what they found, and listen to this. It was common in Sardinia for an 81-year-old person, listen to this, saying they're going home for the weekends to visit their parents, and both their parents are alive at 81. Well, if your mother is 110, your first child is likely to be in their 90s, yes? So this is not just theory. How does an 81-year-old person visit both parents and they're alive? They found that it was because of a secret ingredient called what? Relationship investment. Time spent in relationships. They found that because of relationships, the quality of time spent doing nothing more than laughing and chatting and engaging each other could actually add up to 15 years to one's longevity. 15 years to one's longevity. Now, you in Springboard, I'm very encouraged to hear that you actually started as a chama. And actually, when I go around and I'm talking to people, and especially when there are men and women in the mixed audience like this, I ask, how many of us are in chamas? So let me just do that survey now. Let me ask, how many of the women are actually in, and I shouldn't ask in a chama, I should ask by how many of you are in more than 3 chamas? Ladies in the house, more than 3. Okay, I can see many hands up. More than 4. Some hands are up. Huh? Yes. 5 and above. Any? Yeah? Okay, so at least more than 3 or 4. Now, men, how many of you, and don't count Springboard, because Springboard I think now is actually a financial entity. So how many of the men are actually in chamas? Let me see. Show of hands. Men, we have to start counting from 1. 1. Some hands I notice are firmly down. Some people's hands are just like this. 2. Any men? 2? Well done. Wow, chairman here and there. 3. That's extremely rare for a man. Well done. Very well done. Now, here is the thing. Women on a Sunday afternoon and men on a Sunday afternoon sometimes have a quarrel. Because the women say, no, I need to leave the home. Why? I'm going to my chama. And the man is left at home doing nothing but getting bored, maybe watching television, and he's got nowhere to go. 3-4 hours later, the woman comes back and the husband asks, what have you been doing? And the woman says, no, we're doing nothing. We're just laughing and we're just chatting. And the man said, for 4 hours, doing nothing. Didn't you have an agenda? Here is the agenda for women's chamas. And women, don't go to your chamas and start putting agendas like men. When men happen to have a chama, here's what they do. They show up with laptops and they open up the spreadsheets. That's an agenda for the man's chama. It's got to be a project. They say monomany project. So you've got to have something to do. The women's agenda for a chama is what a chama is meant to do. You go, you laugh, you talk, you eat, and you pray, and you leave. But also before they pray, let's also admit the women add something else called moshene, which is part of the agenda. But they do that, and they laugh, and they go. And let me tell you, what are the women doing? When your husband comes back and asks you, what have you been doing? 4 years, 4 hours, and no agenda? What I just told you from that research about Sardinia is your comeback line. Tell them, I have been adding 15 years to my longevity, and unless you walk this path with me, you're soon going to be alone. That's your comeback line. It's adding something to you. They say laughter is medicine for the soul. Ama kicheko ni sabuni ya roho. You see, go and do nothing else but laugh. That richness of your relationship will actually make you thrive. So, relationships are the currency to success. In school, people don't learn the difference between learning and teaching. Teaching happens in a context of a school. Learning happens in the context of relationships. Here's the key thing about schools. You've got to access the mind and heart of the heart of the student before you access their mind. And the heart of the student is accessed by quality relationships between the child and the parent and the teacher. The killer app in a school is not a smartboard. It's not even a laptop, as some of you are told. It's actually the quality of relationship between the child and the parent and the teacher, sorry. the quality of relationship between the child and the teacher. And that quality of relationship opens up that child to then learn. So relationships improve everything. They improve everything from the quality of security in your neighborhood. Security is a problem in your neighborhood. Get to know the policemen. Get to know who they are by name. A survey was done. They found that when a policeman comes into a community and gets to live there and form a relationship with the community, crime in the neighborhood goes down by 30%, 30%. What is the test? You must know the name of the policeman, and the policeman must be able to know who you are. Why? It's very hard for a policeman to come and arrest, let alone, as we're seeing in some countries, shoot your son if his son is playing with your son. What is the guarantee? There's a relationship. He'll come and treat your son like his own son and try and solve the problem. The relationship improves the security. So relationships, my friends, are the key to everything. In business, it has been found that most CEOs, most leaders in business and in organizations have 70% of their problems are to do with people. As was shared even earlier here by one of the board members, that he said himself, it's very difficult to deal with people. They found that 70% have to do with people. Only 30% has to do with technical issues and the other issues. I'm actually very encouraged to hear that Springboard is actually using relationships as a method of differentiating yourselves from the rest of the competition. And my encouragement to you is that please continue to do it. Don't become like those other institutions that are transactional. You approach this relationally. We sometimes call this, what I'm doing, something that produces results through relationships. We call it relational results. And I once told people to repeat that, and someone said, depending on which side of the mountain you come from, that may be a tongue twister, because some will say relational results. So a tongue twister, depending on which side of the mountain. It reminds me of my primary school teacher, who came from the foot of the slopes. And he used to come and tell us, young man, why aren't your shoes shining? And you understand where he's coming from. But you understand the principle. But my point is this, that a differentiator for Springboard can actually be that you care about relationships. I was very encouraged by Mr. Chairman to hear him use a word that is cutting edge in the major corporate boardrooms in Kenya and abroad, which is taking care of stakeholders and not just shareholders. The chairman said it himself, that we take care of who? All our stakeholders. That is what is called, to use the technical term, shared value. You create value for everyone. Starting, he said it himself. He mentioned, who owns this company? He said it, staff. Another key stakeholder that you need a relationship with is who? Your customers. Another one is who? Your suppliers, your community, your regulator, and of course your shareholder. But I was very impressed to hear that you are using inclusive stakeholder language, which is the best good practice being practiced today, and not some of what we even see in institutions today, even the big boys in town, the big banks, still in the dark days when they're only talking about maximizing value for the shareholder. The modern thinking, as Chairman has just told us, is maximizing value for all your shareholders, stakeholders. And that is very progressive, so I'm really encouraged. Let me just move on to just summarize by giving you 3 points. 3 points about how we actually produce results by being relational and not transactional. Just 3 points which you can write down and summarize. Number 1 is time. Number 2, time. Transparency. Togetherness. The currency of relationships is time. Carol gave us a very good example when she was saying that even the dating science has acknowledged this. Why don't you just meet someone and get married the next day? Is because you haven't spared time. It's not a comment on their character. They may be a very good, upright young man or young woman. You just haven't had the benefit of time. You don't know them. Spend time getting to know all your shareholders, all your stakeholders, all your customers, all your suppliers. all that's happening in the marketplace. If there's a problem in your schools, if there's a problem in your community, go and spend time. And the best way to forge a relationship is FaceTime, when you meet someone face to face. Rather than write a memo or write a circular, get to spend time with them. The second principle is transparency. Transparency has to do with disclosure, being true, being open, and, to use a word that young people use nowadays, being authentic, or to use the modern lingo, being real. This is what young people say. No one wants you to be perfect. I just want you to be real. Be authentic. Authentic means being vulnerable. When you make a mistake, and you'll make mistakes, we're all human, say, I'm sorry I made that mistake. I'm sorry I didn't do this right. So that is actually being conscious about the fact that we don't have all the answers, and we occasionally will drop the ball. But be transparent. Sometimes you come into a situation and say, I don't know this. I don't have the answer. What is your contribution? What is your contribution? So being transparent about your successes, yes, but more importantly about your failures and your struggles, it helps create a relationship. If I come and I share to you more about my failure, you identify with me, you bond, rather than just me sharing about my success. So spend time being transparent. And thirdly is togetherness. I was very impressed to hear that you are traveling this journey and you want, together with your stakeholders, move to be an equity in 10 years' time. And inviting people to travel the journey with you and even become your shareholders and your partners. Togetherness is the secret of teamwork. That as a team, you can do great things. Team is actually not a word, it's an acronym. It means together, everyone achieves more. That's what team stands for. Together, the togetherness, everyone, all of us can achieve much more by being together. Teamwork makes the dream work. You've got a big dream. The dream will never be achieved alone. It is teamwork, working together in community, that will make that dream work. Teamwork has to do with touch. When I'm a team member, I have to get close to you and I touch you. Touch is a human relational quality. Touch has to do with being compassionate. It's about showing concern. It's about when someone comes into the office, you don't just say, where is the report? Where are is the sales results for last week? It's actually looking into the person's eyes and saying, is everything okay? I see you're a bit down. And the person says, well, I just received some bad news. There's a close relative who's just been admitted in the hospital over the weekend with COVID. Can I have some time to go and see them? And you give them the time off. When they come back, they're much better able to engage. That compassion, that care, that concern is what being together and teamwork is all about. I remember recently just going to share with someone, spend time with them because they had lost their father. The father had just been bereaved. And after we finished, we buried him and so on, and we're just going back to visit and check on him. He told us this in appreciation. He says, when you guys came after my father had been bereaved, you came, surrounded me, and you actually hugged me. You put your hands around me and hugged me. He said this, you are not hugging my body. I felt your arms around my heart. So he was encouraging people that when you go to say Pole, hug people, because that hug, that embrace, actually embraces their heart. That is togetherness. That is teamwork. That is what it means to work together. So your time, your transparency, your teamwork produces relationships that give results in every aspect of business and life. Chinua Achebe, in his masterpiece, Things Fall Apart, said it best. He said this, that when kinsmen gather together under the full moon in the village square, they don't do so because of the moon. Everyone can see it from their own homestead. They do so because it is good for kinsmen to gather together. It is good for kinsmen to gather together. That's a principle of togetherness. That's a principle of touch. That is the principle of time together. And that's the time they get vulnerable, and that forges relationships. And that helps that community be strong and powerful and successful. So my encouragement to you is that let us then be people who do find the solutions to our challenges by being relational and not just transactional. 2 more comments before I end. When we think about relationships, we need to also think not only about our relationships in business. We need to think not only about our relationships in work and in the different aspects of our involvement in our communities and schools. We need to think about our relationships in our future and in our retirement. I do seminars actually on retirement, and one of the things I find is a big problem in our financial planning and retirement planning is that all our preparation, almost all the training they give, is purely transactional and financial. So here I come back to Mama Mike and tell you what actually happened with Mike when he decided to put the fence there or not. Mike overruled his siblings. Mike decided that he has the money to fence. He didn't ask his siblings for any contribution, and he said, I'm going to put up the stone wall. And he put a perimeter stone wall and a gate and a soldier at the gate. And then he went on to build a beautiful 3-bedroom bungalow for his mother. Beautiful tiles, beautiful house. He then went to the nearest shopping center and told the person who was running a grocery store there that, you know what, I want you to open an account for my mother. Anything she wants, give her, send me the invoice, and I'll M-Pesa you at the end of the month. As a responsible young man who wants to do good for his family. Here is his problem. He was thinking transactionally and not relationally. What's happened? One day Mike was traveling home. He gets to this house that he has built a fence around and finds it empty. What happened is that they built the stone wall around the new house. The old house she was living in was still outside, part of the larger community. So he gets into the house and he knocks. There's no one there. He walks inside because the door is unlocked. Nothing disturbed, nothing wrong. He goes from room to room, hoodie on the doors. No one is there. And then he comes out, starts walking around the compound. He doesn't know what's happening. He decides to go around towards the old house. And as he's approaching, starts hearing the voices of people laughing and talking. He goes in and finds his mother with her friends, laughing and joking and drinking. They were sharing a cup of tea. And they greet him and so on. And then his mother, the other ladies leave the mother and son alone to have some time alone. And he asks his mom, so what happened? Mike comes from the mountain. So his mother spoke to him in a proverb. And the proverbs have all the richness that these lessons contain. In the dialect of the area, she said this, Dogo Nimakinya. A loose translation, you know your friends by the footsteps you see in your house. Here is what Michael forgot, that his beautiful tiles were actually alienating her mother's friends from her because they felt they're making them dirty. They would rather come onto this other floor that they're used to. They can drink the soup or the tea and pour some on the ground. If they want, they can blow their nose anyhow they want, and nobody's going to make them feel awkward. They were enjoying themselves around this place. Why? Because it made them feel much more at home. That was a new concept that Michael learned. It is this. Pension is not only financial. Your pension is also relational. There's something called a relational pension. What does it comprise of? Think about people. Think about purpose. What is your purpose that you wake up to do? And only thirdly, do you think about provisions or money? And we need to be people who think about life, not only in what to do in business, not only what to do in our schools, but even as we're planning for our retirement, to think relationally. having friends in retirement can actually add much life to your years. Why? Because loneliness is, by definition, relational poverty. Here's a final story before I close. In the year 2017, the UK started a department in government. It's a cabinet office with a full cabinet minister and civil servants addressing the problem of loneliness. They realized that loneliness had become what they said a national crisis. Very odd to see side by side. The UK is the 5th or 6th richest country in the world. Financial prosperity side by side with relational poverty. Loneliness is by definition relational poverty. The people in England were starting to go to doctors. The doctor looks at you, you're a 70, 80-year-old person. There's nothing wrong with you. For a 70, 80-year-old, you're doing fine. The problem they realized is that you are lonely. So they started giving them 2 prescriptions. They'd give them a medical prescription, which is really not medicine. The medical prescription was actually what they call a placebo. It's something like a sugar pill or something maybe, just to make you think that you've taken a tablet. But then they'd give you a social prescription. What is a social prescription? Go down to the club and have 2 days a week and have some time with your friends. Go down to the reading club and read books with some friends so that they can have social interaction. They were curing the problem of loneliness. The study found that being lonely sometimes is as bad as smoking, listen to this, 15 cigarettes a day, simply by being lonely. That is what Mike never learned, but his mother taught him. His mother understood the importance of a relational pension, not just a transactional one. It is relationships that are the currency of success in life and in work. And I close by just saying that I appreciate also the fact that you people also seem to be people of faith. And the good book tells me this. Jesus told us that what is he doing? He's going to prepare a place for us. And he says, if I go, I'll come back and take you so that where I am, you may be also. So he is telling us that our reward is what? Being together with him. And that's an eternal home. And eternity for me spells time. And also, he has told us in the book of 1 Corinthians 13 tells us that now we know partly, then we shall know in full, even as we are fully known. That to me is disclosure. So you see, even there, the principle of time, of transparency, of togetherness being disclosed. My encouragement to you is that make Springboard and make your personal lives driven and guided by relationships and not transactions, because that is the currency for near-term, medium-term, long-term success. It is relationships, not transactions, that hold the currency to success. Thank you, and God bless you.
Asante sana. Please, let's give another huge applause to Mr. Cosma Gatere. Okay, tuko karibu sasa land. All right, we are coming from 10,000 feet above sea level, and we want to land this plane. There's a beautiful cake here, and I want this cake to come closer here so that we cut the cake, we send off the fireworks, and we throw a party to just commemorate our 10th anniversary. Who's helping us with the cake? Fix your eyes on the screens. The countdown is coming up. We are going to get to 10. Throw up the fireworks. The band will lead us into some great scintillating music. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and happy anniversary, Springboard Capital! Hey, 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 hey!
Celebrate good times, come on, everybody! Hey,
deliver our final remarks, which is the closing remarks and the vote of thanks, allow me to invite from the Springboard management team, Anastasia. Help me welcome Anastasia. Yes. Hey, Anastasia, ni vile tu yani uko management, ungekuwa best dressed. Ni vile tuwezi patia staff. Let's appreciate Anastasia!
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, Springboard Capital shareholders, former chairman of the board, current chairman of the board, our board of directors, our guest speaker, our dear customer, our CEO, staff, suppliers, the entire Springboard Capital family. Good evening. Hey, 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 good evening. Tusalimiane kwa hewa. Fantastic. It gives me such immense pleasure and honor to deliver this vote of thanks. Now, we all know of a story that is told of a certain man. He had a fine estate in town. Do you remember? He called out for a meal. And he sent out his servants and said, far and wide, come, let us eat together. When the meal was ready, what happened? Everybody said, I cannot come. Mwingine, sijui ngombe yangu imefanya nini. Mwingine, I have a wedding. I have a new wife. So I want to truly appreciate each and every one of you for finding time off your busy schedules to come and spend the evening with us in celebration of this great milestone. Asanteni sana. Thank you to our shareholders. Like we are always told, you've given us a baby called Springboard. And so we'll continue to carry this baby. It's now a preteen. This baby must grow to the age and outgrow the ages of our shareholders. Thank you to our board of directors for always giving us direction to steer this company and for being here today. We thank Mr. Cosmos, our guest speaker. He has told us that relationships are the currency. And so we want to promise a Springboard Capital, we will value your relationships like we always do. We thank you, our customers. There is no Springboard without our customers. Thank you for coming. Asante sana.